So are we just better than everyone else at getting DLC tickets?
I think that we're good at it.
It seems like we're good because we have a 100% success rate at getting the tickets that we want. I really thought you were not going to get one. I really had no faith. I had
started to lose faith, but at the same time, I was like, no, I'm doing everything right. I'm going to get this. And while I had been starting to lose faith, I wasn't actually that surprised when I got it.
Yeah. Well, and like this was the first time because I had bought tickets on my computer because it's a big purchase and I'm a millennial and big purchases require big screen. But I had heard from people in Milwaukee that there were issues with the website the last time, and I was like, oh, I never experienced that, but all right. And so I had my laptop open and I also had the app open, and I was clicking refresh, and then I was clicking the event on Eventbrite, and then it said unavailable, and so I'd click back and I had it save. And so just like every 10 seconds starting at 11:57, I was just like refresh, click, nope, back, refresh, click, nope, back. And then
I had my dual monitors at work, and so on one monitor I had Firefox up, on the other monitor I had Chrome up, and was refreshing back and forth. And then I was like, ooh, I should maybe also be on the app. This was before you said be on the app. And I had looked for it earlier in the day and I couldn't find it. And you had been like, oh, you can't just search for it. And you're like, here's the link. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get to the link. And so I used your link to get to it, and then the screen wouldn't let me refresh. And so what I was doing was refresh Firefox, refresh Chrome, hit back on my phone, re-click the link you gave me.
Click the link.
And go back in. Yeah, it felt bad, but I also felt like I was doing I couldn't pivot. I couldn't pivot right then. If I pivoted then, all would be lost.
I very almost grabbed my work phone to open up the app on it also, but then I remembered that I don't know the password to the app store on my work phone. And I was like, it's too soon. Like, it's too close to the release date. I can't mess with this right now. I have to focus over here. I mean, like, I got it on the app and I got in line. And then as soon as the line, it was just like, okay, great, it's your turn. I had no issues. The little timer popped up that said you got 19 minutes to complete your checkout. And I was like, one competitor batch, please. And it was like, okay, what do you want to pay with? I'm like, no, let's do Apple Pay. It's on my phone. And then it went through and I got the emails. And that's when I went back to the Discord and everybody's freaking out. And they're saying that Apple Pay doesn't work. You have to use PayPal. And somebody said, I'm still in line. And somebody was just like, well, I don't have a timer, but it says it's my turn, but it won't let me click anything. And now it's erroring out. And I'm just calm as a cucumber.
Yeah, that was not my experience. I did almost immediately get to the screen where you could pick a ticket. I got in line very quickly. Really? And then very quickly it was like, pick a ticket. I added a ticket, and then I got an error screen. And it turned out I did not lose my space in line. I don't know what happened.
Great.
Because I just kept getting to the tickets over and over and over again until 12:20.
Yeah, I actually went back and looked at your text messages, and you texted me at 12:22.
Yes, because that 12:20 was when I got the ticket, and then I and entered my credit card information.
Exhaled.
and then waited until I got the confirmation screen. Went and looked at my email to see that it was there. Yep. And then I texted you, I got one.
Got one. I was so surprised.
I think at one point during the whole drama, I did look up, when are the set championships? And I was like, oh man, yeah, they are during Richmond.
You know, I am not actually upset about that. Like, I think I was during Fort Worth, like when Fort Worth was happening and we didn't go to that one. I was kind of irritated because I'm like, why would they schedule them at the same time? It just seems so easy to avoid the set championship months, you know?
I was pretty upset about Richmond because...
You mean Milwaukee?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got second place twice the weekend before. And so I'm less upset about Richmond since it's the second weekend of them.
Sure, so you can redeem, you have time to redeem, and you don't have time to get second place twice.
And people are going to be so scared of me when I come back from getting third place at Richmond.
I have changed my mind. I don't mind the fact that the DLCs happen at the same time as the set championship, or within the same month. I do wish that part of the side events would be set championship.
I think that makes so much sense. People would definitely play those, and it's not like they can't print out some more mats.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it does rely on Ravensburger to provide them with like the promos and the playmats, right? This is not something that Pastimes or any of the organizers can just unilaterally decide to do.
But interesting. I guess I know that Pastimes is the tournament organizer, but I still kind of assumed that Ravensburger was being like, hey, we want these types of events happening, and here's the product for that.
Yeah. Well, so I think they do, but, you know, it's like all the stuff from the prize wall obviously comes from Ravensburger, right? And who knows to what extent Pastimes has like decision-making power over things, but they're restricted by what Ravensburger gives them. And so it's like they could probably supplement as much as they want, but it wouldn't be provided by Ravensburger. It's not like Pastimes could, create more promos. And so whatever promos they're given are the promos that are available, but there is clearly some discretion and there's probably some discretion in like how much each promo sells for tickets wise, and if Pastimes wanted to host set championships during these DLCs as like set championship side events, or like Friday, they should do a bunch of set championships on Fridays, or on the Friday. They would have to get the playmats and the promos from Ravensburger, and that's probably not something that they're given for DLCs. But I think that would be a really cool idea for people who come in early and are giving up a set championship weekend to play in the DLC.
Definitely would have played in some.
I think that'd be very cool. Yeah, me too. They could even do, like you could do a set championship that gives you the promo, gives you the playmat, and then the rest of the prize support is prize wall tickets.
That's true.
Like tie it into the fact that you're playing this at the DLC. So, with that said, I think that's what we're talking about today, right? We're talking about the DLC and kind of what we're hoping for the future. So, welcome to Inca Podcast Play a Podcast.
A classic turn one play. I'm Amy Orr.
And I'm Matthew Orr Bridges. So, it's been a pretty dramatic week. A lot of big feelings.
Yeah.
I am not unsympathetic to everybody's feelings about the DLCs and about the tickets and about how it has been performed up until now. I have not been on the other side of it, so it is hard for me to say, but I do feel there has to be a better way, right? Like, why are we on 4 separate browsers and on the phone at the same time?
Yeah, no, I agree. But honestly, in my life, I haven't had a lot of opportunities where I've been trying to get tickets for something like this. I think the only thing that I can remember was getting tickets to the Doctor Who convention for the 50th anniversary. I
remember that, yeah.
I had to wake up at like 3 a.m. To buy the tickets. And by the time I made it through the virtual line, 2 of the days had sold out. Sunday was the only day available to us.
Right.
And it sold out pretty much instantly after that.
Yeah.
So everybody talks about how poorly it's managed. I have a hard time blaming anything.
Yeah, I have a hard time with some of the arguments as well. I am sympathetic to everybody who wants to go, who's unable to go.
Yes.
And I think the easiest solution is the most obvious, which is just have bigger events, like, but I also don't know, like, how realistic is it to have extremely large events, especially given the numbers that we're already dealing with. Like, I remember back in Atlanta, like, it went from a 500 person event to a 2,000 person event. And you felt that. Like, it was not set up to be a 2,000 person event. Even after they modified it, like, it was just not, it wasn't designed to be a 2,000 person event. And it suffered for it.
Yeah, I do think that the support is probably the hardest part in scaling up like that. Because honestly, there are definitely ways to do it. For instance, Atlanta, they had multiple convention halls there. Like you could have two. One of them is the main event, one of them is side events or something. I don't know.
Sure.
So space can't be the issue.
Well, so Ghent, in the EU, they're doing a 4,000 person max. And the way that they're doing it is they're having one event on Friday of 2,000 people, one event on Saturday of 2,000 people, and then on Sunday, they're having Top Cut from both days.
Okay.
But what that means is that they have an extra main event day. Right. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about that in Milwaukee, where it's like, why don't they have anything open on Friday?
Right.
And it's like, well, if they had something open on Friday, then they would have to check people in on Thursday, and they might not have had the event space on Thursday in order to do something like that. So I think a lot of it has to do with the venues that they chose, and maybe it was just not possible, or it was just too expensive to expand it even further. I mean, like, the places that they chose for the North American champion, or for the North American DLCs, I don't know that those are the most expensive places in the United States.
Expense seems like an odd restriction because, and I don't know how most people feel about this, but I don't think that a $75 ticket is that bad at all.
Right.
And we have seen how people are willing to fork up the cash for, like, prize wall tickets, not that they're buying the tickets, but churning those side events, like, people are willing to put the money in. So if an extra day costs so much more, I think you change the cost of the tickets to make up for it.
Yeah. Well, and so here's the thing, is that the ticket is by far and away the cheapest part of going to a DLC.
Oh, for sure.
But if this is anything like my experience with Magic, these DLCs are not, like, cost effective. Like, they are loss leaders. And that's a lot of the reason why Magic's organized play division has shrunk so much, is that it is so much more expensive to host one of these big events than they take in from side events, from ticket entries. It is basically paying for a commercial. It is advertising, and it is not expected to make much money, if any money. I think in a great world, they'd be like, okay, we broke even, and that's it. We got some really good publicity, and that was it. I imagine it's much the same way with this game.
That makes sense. I'm just saying, I mean, if you're talking about going from 2,000 people to 4,000 people and increasing the entry fee, then I think you're covering an extra day.
Yeah, probably. Especially like I was saying, like I was referring to before, especially with the locations that they chose. Like, I have a feeling that Milwaukee, Richmond, and Indianapolis are more affordable locations than maybe some of the more popular ones, like Denver or Texas or Phoenix, anywhere on the east or on the west coast, anywhere on the east coast. Honestly, I have a feeling that the three that we got are the most affordable ones. If they are not going to increase the size of the tournament, we need more tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, it feels terrible only having three and not being guaranteed to play in all of them.
Yeah, and so this is nothing that I would want to happen selfishly. The same people are getting tickets,
Yeah.
And I saw someone online talking about, like, it's because, like, that's part of the game and these people know how to do it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Kind of wish there were maybe more events and they somehow limited you to how many you could be in. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I think
Spread the love a little bit.
Yeah, a far more fair system would be somehow to ensure that the same 2,000 people that went to Milwaukee are not the same 2,000 people that go to Richmond, right? I don't want that. I want to go to all of them.
I know.
And so
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Selfishly.
Well, I think most people want to go to more than one. If you are a competitive player, then you want to be able to compete. And this is the highest open level that you can compete at. So it makes sense, and it should be encouraged for the same competitors to go to multiples of these tournaments.
Yeah.
It just feels terrible when only 6,000 tickets exist for the entire season.
Yeah.
Realistic.
So people were complaining that the pros always seem to be able to get tickets, and I'm not going to get into how or why that might be happening.
Conspiracy theories?
Yes. You can get into them if you want. I'm not going to. I'm like, whatever. Because, frankly, I want them there.
Yeah.
Like,
we got our bingo board to fill out. Like, I want to...
Yes, exactly. Which there may be a physical bingo board next time. But
we're absolutely making physical bingo boards. We need to put something up for the prize also.
Yes.
Like a box of winter spell for whoever gets bingo first.
Yes. Okay. I'll have to actually recognize people.
Anyway,
when I get third place at Richmond, I don't want it to be because none of the pros could get tickets.
Yeah.
It's just like one of the set championships that I won. It was night of the Super Bowl, and nobody wanted to be there.
Yeah. You still have that. You have that playmat wrapped up still, because
it's still wrapped up. Yes, it is.
Yeah, because you don't feel like you earned it. It wasn't. It wasn't this hard fought thing, you know.
I earned it, but it
has an asterisk.
That was me winning 3 games or three matches.
Right, exactly.
And
I think the most competitive players also want that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so the system needs to facilitate the fact that this is the highest open level that people can get to, and they need to facilitate that it is heavy competition, and it is a difficult thing to win a DLC. It is a difficult thing to make day 2. It's a difficult thing to top cut. And with the system that we have now, conspiracy theories notwithstanding, who knows if it's the best 2,000 people? You know, obviously it's not the best 2,000 people, but who knows if, you know, the same people who day 2'd in Milwaukee are going to be at Richmond. Even if they wanted to be, there's no guarantee that they would be there. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I want Frank Karsten in Richmond. Like, I want him there because I don't particularly want to play against him.
Right. I was like, now, on the other hand, I don't want to play against any of these people. I just want to technically beat them.
No, he is a force of nature. I don't want to play against him. Maybe in the finals. I think I'll concede that.
Because I'm only, hold on.
Listen, just top cut. That's all I care about. Like,
if I'm getting third, then that means I need to. We never did figure out how third would even happen.
Just, you know, in your heart.
In my heart.
I think, you know, if there were bigger events, if there were more events, then we wouldn't have to have this rat race of trying to fight for tickets. And anybody who wanted to go can go, right? I think we're limited by maybe Ravensburger's OP budget. Maybe it is the tournament organizer's OP budget. I don't know the division of responsibility there, but I mean, like, we know it's possible. I'll be interested to see how many people end up going to Ghent. Like, how close are they going to get to that 4,000 mark? Because I remember last season, I'm pretty sure the DLC in Birmingham did not sell out. Like, I was looking at it and I was like, should I buy a ticket? Should I go compete over there? And it was like 2 weeks before.
Fort Worth didn't sell out.
It was several weeks.
Yeah, because we decided not to go. And then the tickets kept being available, and I kept thinking, I mean, should we go?
There's not. I don't want to be in Texas in the middle of summer.
Is this my Super Bowl DLC? Nobody wants to be there, so I get to win.
Well, that was the one where a lot of flights were canceled also. The airlines had some glitch or something, and so a bunch of flights were canceled. So obviously, more, bigger DLCs is the easiest answer to all of this, right? Aside from that, there are some other suggestions that people have had. You know, we were just talking about how it does seem a little unfair that some people who went to Milwaukee also get to go to Richmond, for example, the two of us. So I mean, like, I get that does feel unfair. Ravensburger did have a system for like the first chapter booster boxes where they said, hey, enter this lottery. We will let you know if you have earned the right to give us money. And then this system also tracks whether or not you have won the lottery and will de-prefer you on the next lottery. And it's like, I can't imagine that there's not some ticket retailer out there that does something like that, you know? So like we could have like a lottery system for the DLC tickets. And that way it's like, okay, the lottery opens, you know, on Monday and closes on Friday. And then on Saturday, we'll let you know if you were selected to purchase a ticket. Kind of like what happened with the wait lists last season, right? You'll have 24 hours to purchase a ticket. If you don't, it'll go to the next person. And then they can prioritize people who have not been able to get a ticket. Even if they don't do the prioritization thing, just a lottery system sounds more fair, right? I guess. I think obviously, selfishly, I would not prefer a lottery system. But at the same time, we already kind of have a lottery system. It's just dependent on how fast our web pages load, you know? And
yeah, I mean, no matter what, it's really based on luck.
Right.
And honestly, I saw a post that really, really made it clear. There are 2,000 tickets available. There are 20,000 people who want to go. There will always be 18,000 people who are upset.
Yeah. And do we know that number? Do we know the 20,000 number?
I don't know that number. I just read a post.
Sure. Because that was one of my questions, which is, you know, if let's say we had 6 4,000 person tournaments in North America, is that enough? Like, I'm very curious and I wish Pastimes, I wish Eventbrite, I wish Ravensburger would tell us. I don't think they ever will, but I wish they would tell us, like, how many people did try to get a ticket?
Well,
like, how many people are trying to go to these events?
So much in perspective. Like, if it is a vocal minority who is not getting tickets, then you have to wonder, like, would everything really be solved by an increase in ticket numbers?
Right. It doesn't even have to be a minority. It could just be, were there 5,000 people trying to get 2,000 tickets? And if there were 5,000 people and we increase it to 4,000, then, you know, like, yeah, it sucks for those 1,000 people that tried to get a ticket, but at a certain point, there has to be, we have to stop it at some point. Yeah, exactly.
And as far as Ravensburger is concerned, hopefully the demand continues to increase. So, like, they're never going to be covering everybody.
Yeah, and, you know, cynically, it's better for them to sell out.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Of course.
So, you know, like, that sucks, but that's the world that we live in. It is better for them to sell out than to pay for the space and the staff, expecting, you know, X number of thousands of people and getting less than that. Yeah, so I would be very interested to know the exact numbers. And if we already have a luck-based system that people are complaining about, because it feels like the current system is within your control until the website crashes. And then it feels like it's their fault, right? And people start blaming Eventbrite, and they start blaming Pastimes, and they start blaming Ravensburger. I wonder how many people would blame anybody if it was just literally a lottery system. I'm sure that there are people that would be upset. But I also wonder, like, how many people would blame the system itself for being like, I was there at 11 a.m. and I didn't get a ticket in this lottery system. It's like, well, that doesn't matter because it's random.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I think that you're going to still have very vocal people complaining, but I think people are going to be more strong in shutting them down, you know? Where it'll just be, dude, it's a lottery. I'm sorry, it sucks to be you.
Yeah. And I think the complaints would get bigger and more legitimate if there was not some sort of prioritization system for multiple DLCs. So you would have people that would be like, I have entered the lottery every single time and I have never gotten one, but I always see, insert pro player here at each of these DLCs, right?
Yeah.
And, there's always going to be the conspiracy theories of this, this underground economy. I don't even know that they're conspiracy theories. There's just an underground economy for DLC tickets.
I would say that you have to call it a conspiracy theory. Because Pastimes steadfastly says it doesn't exist.
So the conspiracy theory that I believe that they're referring to is that they give prioritization to the pro players and they let them in ahead of time, or they give them a ticket, right? And I don't believe that happens. What I am positive happens is that you have a team, a Lorcana team, and what happens is that they try to get a ticket while signed out. And when they have it in their cart, they sign in as anybody on their team who has not gotten a ticket yet.
Sure.
Not necessarily against the rules, maybe a little against the spirit. A little bit. I think what is actually against the rules would be the second level, which is people change their account information, which seems super sketchy and way too easily tracked. But if you're making a living off of this, I guess you do what you do. Anyway, I definitely could see, if somebody lost the lottery for all 6 in one season, I think that those complaints would be legitimate, and I think that they would be very vocal. But again, that goes back to how many people are trying. You would think that if there's 4,000 slots and 5,000 people trying for each DLC, for each of the 6 quote unquote DLCs that we have, odds are in your favor that you're going to get one of them.
Yeah.
For the 10 people that you were just very unlucky and you've missed all 24,000 tickets that you've tried, maybe don't play card games because the luck is just not with you, my man. Like we said, I want the pro players there. I want the best people there. I want to be able to compete on the same level, and I want to get better at the game. And the only way I do that is by constantly competing against better and better players.
Yep.
I felt myself get better in Milwaukee. I felt it happen. And there were several moments when I was talking to my opponents after the round, and we were kind of talking about the game, and I had epiphanies. You could see the light bulb above my head, and I'm like, oh my god, I never thought of that. Oh my god, you're right. I need that to happen, and the only way for that to happen is at DLCs, and the only way for that to happen at DLCs is if we are both there.
Yep.
Right? Which brings me to my actual preferred method of determining who gets to go to DLCs is, I think, some portion of the attendance should be based on qualifications. I think there should be some mechanism that, some tournament that you can win or you can place that qualifies you to the next DLC, that just gives you a ticket. Just straight up gives you a ticket. And maybe the top cut from the previous DLC gets a ticket to the next one.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
I don't think you could fold it into the current system, because the current system would be if you win a set championship, but there are hundreds of set championships. Mm-hmm. And so unless you are uncapping DLCs, I don't think you could give every winner a ticket. But, we've talked about the void that exists between set championships and DLCs. So they could absolutely create a new tournament. And I don't know if it would be similar to what happened in New Zealand or Australia with the DLC qualifiers. But, they could create a middle ground where it's, okay, anybody who makes the top cut of this also gets a ticket to the upcoming DLC. And I think that would help kind of, if it's 32 people from the last one, and let's say it's 32 people from the qualifier, that's only 64 slots. That's not very many, but it does provide an avenue where you can win your way to the next DLC. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think that's really important, and something that we don't have, where there's no guarantee that the best players are going to show up at the DLC, because there's no competition. There's no test of skill.
Right.
It's just luck, and that feels bad. And I think that's that's what people are reacting to whenever they're trying to get tickets to all these DLCs and failing.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, there could be people who are way better than the people who are currently winning everything. That we don't know, because there's no way to prove your way to a DLC.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think it feels to me that Ravensburger is trying, at the very least, with like the CCQs, right? The CCQs qualify you to the Continentals. They qualify you past the DLCs.
Right.
Right? Which is great. You know, I think that is good, and that is a good step forward. The main thing that we're missing like a regional tournament. You know, like,
yeah, no, and I think, like you said, I think that the changes that Ravensburger has made have been really good. Like everybody's disappointed there's fewer DLCs in the States. But like you said, the CCQs, I think, are a great step forward. And then, completely unrelated to the overall structure, you know, they also came out very quickly after Milwaukee and were like, hey, we hear you. Here are the changes to Richmond and forward.
Yeah.
They are clearly listening. Some
they're trying.
things they don't have control over as fast as the public thinks they should.
I'm trying not to. I mean, like, if we had any audience, we would be accused of being like apologists for everybody. But like, you and I were texting on Monday, and it's just there's no winning for pastimes. Like, there's no winning when it comes to the angry mob. And listen, I was not happy with everything that happened in Milwaukee. You know, we talked about it. We talked about what we would like to see, and they heard us. I think they specifically listened to our podcast.
Yeah.
And they did take steps to address some of our concerns. And I think that's great. Are they still doing everything perfectly? No, obviously not. But there is a little bit of me that's like, you know that this isn't their fault, right, guys? Like, you know that Pastimes does not have the power to change all of the things that were wrong with the tournament.
Yeah, that's something really important about all of the complainers. Complain. Do it. Know who is to blame. You know,
direct your energy at the proper place.
When a ticket selling website goes down, I don't think you blame the tournament organizers. That's clearly the website.
Right.
Go yell at Eventbrite.
Well, and like yell at Pastimes, but when Pastimes representative says, "I don't know anything about this," you know, like this, like we don't have access to Eventbrite servers, like we don't know. Don't yell at them more.
It's not a conspiracy. Like, there are just actual divisions of labor. This is how business works.
Right. And you can say that ultimately it falls on Pastimes. Ultimately it falls on Ravensburger. And I think that there are fair arguments with that. But the level of anger that we saw on Monday was just, it was disproportionate to Pastimes' like involvement.
I think it's very interesting that it did seem mostly towards Pastimes. Like, if it's me and I'm, like, complaining, my complaint is to Ravensburger.
Right.
They're the ones
making
the choices. Like, they chose Pastimes. Pastimes chose Eventbrite,
probably. I mean,
right?
They tried to do it on their own website and failed. Well, and so that's what confused me, is people being like, I miss PPG. And it's just like, but they used Eventbrite also. What are you talking about?
The same problems happened. What are we talking about?
What are you talking about? Like, did you try to get tickets for season 1? This exact thing happened. Every DLC.
Thing. Yes.
Like, yeah. So what do you mean you miss PPG? Now, to be fair, Pastimes does not have a good reputation. Pastimes' poor reputation precedes itself when it comes from Magic tournaments, because they're a very big tournament organizer for Magic tournaments, and there have been heavy complaints for years about that. And so I do think some of the baggage is being carried over, because there are a lot of Magic players who now play Lorcana, or still, play it also. And it's the same staff.
Doesn't that all the more make you want to blame Ravensburger?
Well, so I mean, like, it goes back to what is truly pastimes involvement versus what is the the company that makes it, the producers, the involvement. Like prize wall tickets, yeah, complain to pastimes about that. Like they're the ones, and like the organization. Like, yeah, complain to pastimes about that. The fact, like if you're having staffing issues, if you can't open up more tables to get tickets paid out, if the tickets are, not worth as much, if the side events aren't running well, those are all pastimes issues. Sure. And I have no issues with people complaining about that.
Yeah.
I complained about that. It was a complete fiasco in Milwaukee at the end of Sunday. And like, what do you mean I have to stand in two lines? One to collect my tickets and then one to go to the prize wall. That's insane. Like, we should be able to streamline this. And that is entirely on pastimes. So absolutely complain. They're clearly listening because they adjusted some things, and we'll see how Richmond goes, best laid plans and everything. But some of the complaints, I would say a majority of the complaints that we saw on Monday, not pastimes' fault.
Exactly.
Not pastimes' fault. Would not be any better under PPG. Right. And really does fall to weren't better on PPG, right? And really does fall to Ravensburger to be like, all right, well, we need to choose better cities. We need to choose more cities. I feel people's frustrations when the response to criticism is, well, we'll get it right next season. I think that that's a pretty poor answer for some criticism. Like, there are things that can be done and should be done for this season.
I just meant we are clearly still in the development. Like,
no, I agree.
And
I 100% agree. And I think it is true that things will be better in season 3. I've seen pastimes and I've seen Ravensburger be like, we hear your criticisms, we hear your feedback, thank you so much. 12 months from now, we'll get to you, like you'll see. And it's this habit of like, of just being like, that's future us's problem.
Yeah.
And so there is a little bit of like, are they just hoping that these criticisms go away by that time?
That's what happens, right? I mean, is that the things you don't like become the norm, you get used to them, and yeah, something has to get worse in order for you to start complaining again. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it just, like I wonder if by the time season 3 rolls around, if all of the people who are very vocally upset about this will have moved on to different games. Right?
If they can't play this the way they want to play it, then why would they stick around? And
I feel that too. I would feel very upset if I wasn't able to get DLC tickets. I'm feeling that with our locals. Like, if local attendance drops too much, then it's going to become very difficult to play this game at the level that I want to play it at. So, we'll see. I have not yet played with any of the Whisper cards, but seeing the deck lists, holy crap, it has absolutely shaken up the format. There are so many new cards in all of these decks, and it looks amazing. I'm very excited to see how this format develops.
I'm looking forward to playing with some glimmers. Not glimmers.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah. I mean, you're that too. You're not wrong.
Yeah, that's true. With some whispers.
With some whispers. Get some whispers. Yeah, me too. All right. Well, I think we've said what we needed to say.
And some.
Yeah. If that's not what our podcast is, I don't know what is. Just two jerks talking too much. All right. I'm going to take off.
Yep. It's time to be done.
Mm-hmm. Follow our socials or whatever.
Yeah. Do that.
Was that a good call to action?
Super not lazy.
Yeah, whatever, man. It had more effort than we put into our current social medias.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
Except our TikTok. I'm pretty on top of that.
Check out the TikToks. They're pretty cute.
It's just this, except bite size.
Okay.